And the Illinois State House back in action this week. It's going to be a long one with the House. They were in last week. The Senate wasn't in, though. Today, the Senate comes back into session, and the House joins them on Wednesday with all kinds of House hearings. So a lot to happen with deadlines to advance bills out of committee. Friday was the House's deadline to advance bills out of committee, and they passed a whole bunch of bills out of committee. We're going to review some of those right now with Bishop on Air. Thank you so much for hanging out. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and email me if you've got any questions or news tips, bishoponair@gmail.com. You can also find me on X. Just search Bishop on Air, and we can connect that way. A couple of things about the General Assembly that we should probably touch on here. You've got a little bit of a shakeup in a couple of different jurisdictions across the state in a Senate district. You've got a state senator that is being moved over to the Department of Insurance. So Ann Gillespie, a state senator, she is moving her way to a state agency, so that opens things up in that district. So when you have a vacancy in a legislative district, the party of that seat holder is the one that determines who's going to be in that seat next. So the Democrats are going to choose Ann Gillespie's replacement in that Senate district. Then you also have in the House another news item. State Representative Tim Oinga is resigning, and he's a Republican. So that means you're going to have the Republican Party there locally select Oinga's replacement to fill out the rest of his term. So, we have this on occasion where a lot of different, things are moving, and even in the middle of a legislative session, some legislators, for whatever various reasons, either go on to a different job, like with the Pritzker administration, or they just resign. Some of the circumstances behind all of this, of course, will start coming to light. But just wanted to give you that little bit of news before we jump into talking about property taxes, because you had last week in the House Revenue and Finance Committee, I tuned in and I'm listening and I'm hearing all kinds of stuff about property taxes. And I thought to myself, well, Illinois has the second highest property taxes in the country behind only New Jersey. The second highest property taxes in the country. But instead of looking at addressing how they can lower that by having the state, more fund schools so that school districts don't have to increase property taxes, or somehow finding ways to alleviate the property tax burden on Illinoisans, which again, we have the second highest property taxes. But instead of advancing legislation to look at how to alleviate those property tax burdens, there were several bills that advanced out of the House committee to allow for property tax increases. One would essentially allow for not just cities to levy a property tax increase for museums. It would also allow for villages and townships to do the same. So it opens it up for all local governments to increase property taxes for purposes of museums and cultural centers, the like. You had another one, State Representative Charlie Meyer. He had a measure that would allow for a voter referendum in order to fund ambulance companies, especially in some rural areas. You got ambulance companies that don't really have too much funding coming in for a variety of reasons. Maybe federal regulations are impacting them, but regardless, you've got ambulance companies that are finding it difficult to operate. So State Representative Charlie Meyer wants to have local governments get the ability to request from the taxpayers that they increase property taxes so they can help fund ambulance services. And then there were other ones about, financing firefighter pensions and a whole host of different types of property tax measures that passed out of this committee. I asked State Representative Joe Cisnowski, a Republican from Rockford, and his thoughts on, here we are, high property taxes, but this revenue and finance committees moving forward with allowing for increasing property taxes.
Yeah, a little concerning. Obviously, every local community has some different challenges, but, the two main bills that were passed, dealt with fire protection districts, basically allowing them to increase their property tax rate, without a referendum, which is concerning. And then the second one was allowing towns and villages to, and basically cities, to have a increase in property tax for museum-based needs. So basically we're just expanding local authority to increase people's local property taxes. In a state where we're the second highest already, obviously it's something we need to be concerned about.
So I asked him as well, what can be done about this? If they're advancing legislation at the State House to allow for more property tax increases in the state that already has the second highest property taxes, what can be done about it?
So we've got several proposals, and it looks like we're going to have some opportunities to have some discussions next week as we reconvene the Revenue Committee. We've got to figure out ways to put caps on total increases. Create opportunities for seniors. Whether it's increasing the eligibility for freezes, and just keeping taxes low. That's what we've got to do to keep people here and bring people to Illinois. So we've got some proposals. We'll have some conversations upcoming weeks about that. But yeah, we need to do a lot more.
But are they actually going to advance those proposals? Because they haven't, and the House already had their House committee deadline Friday to advance measures this spring session. But Cisnowski, I asked him, what kind of message does it send with the state having the second highest property taxes and legislators eyeing even more property tax increases?
Yeah, it's a scary message. It's the opposite of what we should be. Looking at expanding property taxes at a time when, again, we're one of the highest and we should be looking to do the opposite, And again, it's a million little slashes, they all add up to be real pain. So we've just got to, we've got to continue to talk about this. We'll see. It's only, out of committee, so hopefully we can have some good discussion and slow these things down, and, we'll see what happens.
And in a pension committee, they also advanced measures dealing with Tier 2 pensions, and that's not necessarily going to ease the taxpayer burden on the looming pension debt, which is $140 billion. So they advanced legislation to boost some pensions. So that's an ongoing issue as well. I'm just going to go through some of the legislation they passed last week out of the House committees, and just gives you an idea of some of the, I guess, in a way, priorities that there are. House Bill 5239 amends the Reproductive Health Care Act. It prohibits the states from providing any information or expending or using any time, money, facilities, property, equipment, personnel, or resources in furtherance of interstate investigation or proceeding seeking to impose civil or criminal liability on a person for the provision, receipt, or seeking, or inquiring, or responding to an inquiry about reproductive health care products and services that are lawful in Illinois. So again, it's an abortion bill. House Bill 4596 amends the Paid Leave for All Workers Act, which is a law that passed in Illinois, but they're looking to amend it already. It reinserts various provisions of the bill, provides that an employee covered by federal regulations concerning airline flight crew employees shall be deemed to work 40 hours in each work week for the purpose of the accrual paid leave. So they're having to carve out little pieces of the law they passed impacting employers because it didn't necessarily mesh well with federal law. House Bill 4431 advanced out of committee. It removes language providing the examination of an applicant for a driver's license or permit who's 75 years or older, or if the Secretary of State adopts rules to raise the age requirements for actual demonstrations, the examination of an applicant who has attained that increased age or is older shall include an actual demonstration of the applicant's ability to exercise ordinary and reasonable control of the operation of the motor vehicle. So licensing individuals over the age of 75 and whether or not they need a driver's test. House Bill 4206 amends the Landlord and Tenant Act. So if you guys got rental properties out there and you've got tenants, this is going to impact you. If you're a tenant yourself and you've got a landlord, this is going to impact you. If it does indeed pass, House Bill 4206 provides that if a landlord uses a third-party payment portal to collect rental payments from tenants, the transaction fee, if it's added to it, then the tenant can actually just do a paper check check. So going back to e-check or other means, it says, then the landlord shall allow the tenant to make rental payments by delivering a paper check to the landlord or the landlord's business office by means that do not require the tenant to pay the transaction fee or other charges. House Bill 2363, this deals with the Environmental Protection Act. It prohibits offering for sale, selling, or distributing as a new manufactured product a screw base or bayonet base compact fluorescent lamp on or after January 1st, 2026. And a pin-based compact fluorescent lamp or linear fluorescent lamp on or after January 1st, 2027. Adds exemptions for specific lamps, provides that utilities may offer energy-efficient lighting rebates or lamp recycling services. So they're looking at controlling more of what kinds of lights you're able to have. So that's House Bill 2363. And then, again, not a complete review of the 150-plus bills that they passed last week out of the House committees. These are just some of the bills, and we'll likely talk about more of them in the days and weeks ahead. House Bill 2601 replaces everything after the enacting clause and amends the Meat and Poultry Inspection Act. This is actually something you farmer or you hunters out there might actually be interested in. This one provides that the Director of Agriculture may exempt from inspection animals slaughtered or any meat or meat food products prepared on a custom basis at a Type 1 license, only if that Type 1 licensee plainly marks all such articles prepared on a custom basis, not for resale, rather than not for sale, not inspected. All right, so just changing the labeling on some of those deer jerky packs you get after having a successful hunt. So just some of the things that, showing some of the priorities at the State House for bills that are advancing. Again, you've got the Senate coming back in today. They've got their own bill deadline coming up. And then the House and the Senate are in on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We'll see if they stay in Friday. But it is going to be another busy week, so hopefully you stay tuned with Bishop on Air. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you back here very, very soon in short order.